If you are anything like I am, you might suffer from knife addiction. I'm quite comfortable admitting that I have an addiction to knives, particularly pocket knives, but knives of different sorts. And it's kind of funny how I came upon this hobby, if you want to call it that. It truly was by accident almost. So I figured I would go over the story and then show my collection while I'm at it. So here we go. The first knife I ever got, going way, way, way back when I was in the Cub Scouts, was a little Victorinox knockoff that I got for selling popcorn. And I remember how proud I was when I got that knife. I was beaming. I was so enthralled with that thing. But the first real knife that I actually had was this one here, actually. It's a Columbia River M16. It's the 13 LE law enforcement. It's discontinued, but my first job was at a paintball field and pro shop, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done with the knife there. Opening packages, opening cardboard boxes, doing work around the grounds, like cutting nylon webbing and such. I was always using a pocket knife there, and my grandparents got this one for me to use, and it served me faithfully for many, many, many years in that job, and held up quite well. And this is back before I knew anything about knives, honestly. I just knew this one looked cool, and that's why I picked it out, and it worked for me for all those years. But the pocket screws slowly started working their way loose, and I didn't have a Torx bit driver, so I kept trying to tighten them with whatever I could, with pliers and with Allen keys if they would fit in there. But I eventually lost a screw, and the screw or the pocket clip was loose one day, and it just happened to slip out of my pocket, and I couldn't find it, so it was lost for a while. And it just happened to be sitting in the couch cushions, but I didn't know that. I thought I had lost it while I was out. So this knife just happened to disappear. And I was out with my dad, and we were talking, because we happened to be at a sporting goods store, and he asked about this knife, and I mentioned that it had recently gone missing. And so he decided to get me another knife, knowing how much I used pocket knives, or use my pocket knife. So he let me pick out another one. And not knowing anything, I just picked out the Cold Steel Tie Light 4-inch. This is the Zyx handle. And I used this for a brief period of time, and I realized that it didn't really have as much function as the Cold Steel, or as the Columbia River knife did. So that's when I started thinking about different knife designs that might be out there and different functions and such. And that's when I really started doing some research on pocket knives, and realized how big the world of pocket knives actually is. And that kind of opened the floodgates at that point. And so I started shopping around different pocket knives to find one that would suit my needs the most. And the collection just kind of started slowly growing. So the next knife I got was this Columbia River here. It's the M2102G. And I used that, but there was something about it, I don't know, just a little thick, and the blade shape with this recurve was kind of odd to get used to. And so I just kind of kept going. I mean, I liked the knife, I carried it and used it, and so I decided to see what the bigger brother was like, which is the big dog, as they call it, as Columbia River calls it. It's the larger version of that one. And that was obviously too large to carry, so I kind of abandoned that one rather quickly. But I had heard a lot of good things about Spyderco, and so I decided to check out Spyderco. And the first one I got was the Spyderco Tenacious, because it was cheap. That was the primary reason. But I just didn't like how wide the blade was. I thought that was kind of uncomfortable when it was closed, how much real estate it took up. That was the main problem I had, and so it just took up so much space in my pocket. And so I decided, let's see if we can find something just a little bit thinner. And so I picked up a Delica. And I liked the Delica. I really did like the Delica. But it was just maybe a little short for, I guess, the perfect knife. Maybe I was just hunting for the perfect knife, which is impossible to find. Let me tell you right now. It'll save you a lot of time and money. There is no perfect knife. But I picked up a Spyderco Endura at that point, and was quite happy with that. But that was just a little bit too long. And so I found a happy middle ground and got the Spyderco Stretch, which I absolutely love. This is an incredible knife. And I carried this one primarily for probably well over a year. This was my go-to knife. That was the one I had on me most often. It's been many places with me, and it served me quite well. I absolutely love that knife. But I was firmly in the grasps of knife addiction, so the collection just kind of kept growing. And I checked out other offerings from different companies, like Kershaw. So I got a Leak, and I still kept going with Spyderco because I love Spydercos, and so I got a couple more of those, to include this one, which was just found. Someone lost it. This is the original Clip It design, the molded pocket clip, so I think someone just happened to lose that while they were out on a construction site. And I was fortunate enough to find it. And then I got some cold steels, like the Tough Light, which is a great utility knife. I use that at work now at my new job, which is, I still open a lot of packaging. And so I use that one as kind of a utility knife. And I got a cold steel American Lawman and stripped the coating off of that just because the painted coating was so cheap. And that's kind of how I got into modifying knives, was when I just simply stripped the coating off of this blade. That was enough to I guess, get me into that. So I started working on knives, all the while still collecting, anything I came across that I liked, such as the Benchmade Mini Grip Talion, and, some more Kershaw Scallion, some random Spydercos, a little Spyderco Ladybug that I got. You can't forget the Kershaw Cryo. That's a very popular knife as well. And some more, that's when I started getting into, I guess, the higher end knives. When I graduated from college, my parents bought me as a graduation present this Spyderco Sage 1, which is an excellent knife, by the way. But that was my first, really, I guess, high-end pocket knife. I mean, some of these are up there in price, such as the Mini Grip Talion and the Stretch, but I think that this is the first knife I got that was actually over $100, and so, I started getting into some of the higher-end knives. I was just so impressed at this one. So I got a Spyderco Native 5, which I absolutely love as well. This is probably one of my favorite pocket knives at the time, or at the moment, right now. I carry that one quite frequently. It's an excellent knife. And then, of course, no collection is complete without at least one Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So I ran into one of those online and decided to pick it up. And like I said, I eventually got into making my own knives. And I got some knife blanks, which I made handles for. Just some simple wooden handles for these knives, and decided to get more and more into it, so I did the stock removal method and made my own blades and my own micarta, and came up with this knife here. And after that one, I made this one, and the collection just kind of kept growing and growing. And after I made all those knives, I decided to start modifying production knives. So with that came the Rat 1, and made some custom micarta scales for that, modified the blade just a little bit, and the collection continued to grow. Along the way, I also picked up a few odds and ends, a few random knives, Cold Steel Safekeeper 3, a Benchmade large heavy Bowie. We'll just set that there, I guess. And the last knife that I worked on was a simple Rat 2. This is the knife I most recently finished working on, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. But I know it's not going to stop there. I'm going to continue to collect and modify knives and enjoy the ride. But that's a little history on how I got into pocket knives and other sorts of knives, and now where I'm going with them as far as modifying and making my own. I just wanted to share. Hope you got something out of it, if nothing but a chuckle. And thanks for watching.